Straight to live. Wait. I'm just kidding.
Hey, Internet, it's Jake from MTD Terrain Domain, and this is 7 Dooms for Sandpoint.
Chapter... Gone! Sorry.
What the...
Gary's gone.
7 Dooms for Sandpoint. Chapter 1, Bones and Ashes. And this is episode 19. And believe it or not, we are getting ever closer to a Doom. So...
Can't wait. Jake, FYI, I actually am gone. My window is not me.
I swear I put you in the right place.
Oh.
Clearly I did not. I
Hello.
have the two of you mixed up for some reason. Okay. As you can see, Tamiko is not with us tonight. Hopefully returning next session. All right, a couple of quick announcements, then we're going to get into this game proper. All the usual stuff. If you look up here in the corner over top of Kaeryn, you will see that there are 45 domain dice. Domain dice are, of course, a way that you, the viewer, can have an impact on the game simply by subscribing, resubscribing, gifting subs, cheering 500 bits, tipping $5. All of these things will earn the players domain dice that they can use for things like they can re-roll for the cost of 1 domain dice. They can re-roll, take the new roll, or they can buy a hero point card. They can spend 3 to avoid certain death once per character per session, or they can spend 5 to change the success level of any die roll up or down 1 degree, including my dice rolls. However, if you'll note, I have right here, I've only got 6 of them, special edition DM Doom dice. That's a kind of a mouthful. DM Doom dice.
Say that 5 times fast.
If you want to award me with domain dice, all you have to do is specify when you subscribe or resubscribe or gift a sub or do any of those things. I can only use mine to re-roll, same as the players, or I can cancel one of their attempts to move the success level up or down, in which case they will not lose their 5 domain dice, but I will lose mine.
That one's for us, Jacob, not you.
It would be very funny if you cheered and said, these are for the DM. These are for the GM, specifically. Give them. One day, perhaps, my players will respect me enough to know that I will use them wisely. No, I liked it this way. You're afraid of me. You should be
not a matter of respect. It's fear. I was just going to say that. Yeah.
You should be a little bit afraid.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we don't have this mechanic in one of my games.
Yeah.
We didn't have it in this game until somebody specified they wanted me to have domain dice. So, I'm sure we could have a special edition GM relic made for Sky Metal. Speaking of Sky Metal, I believe tomorrow night is Sky Metal night, correct?
Ooh.
No, it's not. Last week was. We didn't play. That's right. We're returning on June 10th. That's what I meant to say. June 10th is Sky Metal night. After almost a month off, just because we only play every other week. And so if you miss a week, you know how time works.
It's a month.
Yeah, so check that out next week on Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Vi is the GM, Kaeryn and I, along with Sarah and M. That is a D&D 5e game. Of course, on Thursdays, we have our Welcome to Paradise, Michigan Season 3 Genesis, our Kids on Bikes RPG game that Cari and Tamiko...
Getting real murdery over there.
...are a part of. Yeah, they once again traveled through time and are currently playing as villainous NPCs that have been giving the kids trouble throughout time and space. They are now playing as them in the past, so they are affecting those NPCs because it's 1975. There's a lot of timey-wimey stuff going on there, and there's a lot of violence happening. It's, in fact, our last session ended with 2 of the characters dead.
Mhm.
You want to know what that's all about? You're going to have to tune in and check that out. Let's see. I can't think of anything else other than just the usual reminders that we are playing as fictitious characters in a fantasy setting or fantasy characters in a fictitious setting. You may hear graphic depictions of violence, adult language, intense roleplay situations, just all around what we would call a PG-13 game that maybe dips its toe into R rating once in a while. But if that's the kind of stuff that you are not interested in, please feel free to go somewhere else. We won't be offended. Take care of yourself. Do know that we have had our sets and zeros. We've established lines and veils, and we have safety tools in place to make sure that everybody has fun and stays safe around our game table. The last thing I want to mention before we get into the game proper is a reminder that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, it is true. There are any number of reasons why you might be struggling or somebody you know might be struggling. The last thing we want is for you to struggle to find the help you need. You can come into our chat anytime, day or night, whether we are streaming or not, and type !help. Doing so will make a couple of URLs show up. They will also show up continuously scrolling at the bottom of this stream. But they are findahelpline.com. Or you can check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. I'm wondering, can any of you tell me what time it is?
It's time to wear some shoes.
Because why?
Well, that sand is pointy.
Let's go.
Hey-yo! It is another beautiful day in Sandpoint. Now, when we left off, it was the 9th of Serenith on Star Day, the night of Velynia's secret meeting in the shadows of the old light in the ruins. You had all done various activities, interactions, selling things, spent some time identifying some magic items, that kind of thing. So basically 9 days had passed. Before we move forward in the calendar, within that 9-day span, we need to catch up with our little kobold to find out what Lumi was doing while you all were doing the things you were doing. So, following the exodus of the undead hole, yet again, Lumi very quickly ran off to her room to consult her own collection of books and other things, ostensibly to learn even more about discoveries made down below. Lumi, what specifically would you be doing? And this can be, you can take it, in the immediate time afterwards, or if you want to kind of cover over the course of a few days, we'll figure out where we need to do some role playing, where we need to do some rolling of dice.
We cut to after the party's all gone off to do their things. We cut to Lumi in her room. She's sat down, cross-legged in the middle of her room. There's books everywhere, papers everywhere. Things are open to random pages. She's got a pen tucked behind her ear. She's like thinking really hard and flipping through some pages. And oh, she says as she scribbles down something. And she's like cross-referencing some of the smudges that she made down in the undead hole with like this like lexicon that she has. And she's like thumbing through it. And this goes on for a bit. We can definitely tell that she's been doing this for quite a while at this point, the greater part of the afternoon. And she gets to a part where all of the symbols that she wrote down of the Hellstorm Flume, they don't quite appear as she wants them to in her like little dictionary of words and such of ancient Thassalan. And she scratches her head and goes, "Well, that's a little disappointing." And then she'll get up, and this is like probably like evening time. She's going to go run across town off her little pitter patter legs, and she's going to go meet up with Brodert Quink. At least go knock upon his door, as she knows that he is a member of the Gatewatchers and has a bit of
Rune
knowledge and/or connections to those who have the knowledge that she seeks.
The Rune Watchers.
What did I say?
You said Gatewatchers.
Okay, sorry, yeah, Rune Watchers.
Those.
The
yes.
people that watch the runes.
The Rune Watchers. So this is that evening. Velynia, when would you have sold off the items that you sold off?
Before evening.
Okay, that's
Because
what
I
I thought.
probably did it. Well, so I left the gang before that they were all technically done. I had my shit, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna excuse myself, and I went to see Broder the day we got out of the hole. Before he shut up shop for that night.
Right.
I'd definitely be going later than the shop time for sure. It's a little bit like it's threatening to go to sundown now.
Yeah.
I'm probably like interrupting his
geez.
dinner.
Yeah, I just wanted to specify because this would be after Velynia sold a couple of the relics
Took
that
him for all he was worth.
were found down there.
Buddy.
So, yeah, you show up at Broderick Quink's, which is... I forgot to open that document.
Hey, while Jake's opening up that document, why don't you open up another tab and check us out at redbubble.com. At redbubble.com, we got all kinds of great logos and stuff, and you can get them on shirts, tank tops, hoodies, mugs, stickers, postcards, pillows, notebooks, and so many other really, really cool things. You can get our logo on just about anything you want. Redbubble.com. Just search Mini Terrain Domain.
Perfect. I was going to say, no, it wasn't enough time. But it was.
Just give me the stretch.
So yeah, you show up at Broderick Quink's house. It's that time of day where definitely you can start to see the glow of lamps or fires from within as the sun descends below the horizon. You knock upon his door, and it there's no immediate answer. You may, after a moment, decide to knock again before you hear a shuffling behind the door, and Broderick opens the door, and as he does so, he immediately pokes his head out, looking left and right, and then he sees you down below, and he's, "Oh, Lumi.
Hi.
What brings you here?"
Oh, I was wondering. Pardon the interruption, of course. And she like leans over and sees that there's like a little dinner for one situation going on in the little dining room. I hope this is not a troubling time. I was just concerning getting, okay, so, I need help with deciphering some runes that even I'm not familiar with, and I was wondering if, I remember there was this book that I saw when I was younger, that I think maybe you had, or maybe it was someone else, but I was wondering if you still had that one. I'm looking for more ones that are arcane runes, more so. You remember what I'm talking about, right? It had like the gold like embossment on the front. That book.
This is about you and your friends delving below the cathedral, isn't it?
You could say that.
That's what I thought. Quick! And he steps back and holds the door open and kind of looks out and motions for you to come in quickly.
And she doesn't quite understand the urgency, but she'll like she'll stride her way in and kind of look around, and she'll like look around and glance and see like the ranseur and stuff that
Yeah, in fact, the dinner for one that you described, there's some kind of stew and big chunk of bread and cheese pushed to the side of the table, and the ranseur actually takes up most of the table. There's also I believe you sold the battle axe to him as well. That's on there as well, and you can see lying next to these weapons, you see that he's got like a jeweler's loop, and he's got a few other tools. And he has some of these Thessalonian books open on the table as well. I've just been delving into my own mystery of sorts. Or rather, the gift the tall, angry-looking one presented to me. Which didn't exactly give them to me. I gave her a fair bit of gold in exchange, but little does she know how much these are actually worth.
Listen, knowing the both of you, I think you both walked away from that one happy.
Oh, that's right. It was the dagger, wasn't it?
The dagger and the ranseur.
Yeah.
And the bowl.
That's right. Yep. Actually, Lumi, you would see that the dagger and the ranseur are laid on the table, and his stew is in the bowl, the silver bowl.
It was worthless. That's awesome.
This thing has seen blood sacrifice.
It's a
turkey
She'll
soup.
notice. She'll like, oh, knowing both of you probably got a good end of the deal, or a happy deal, whatever, right? And she glances at the bowl, and she's like, she says nothing. She says nothing, but she has like a kind of.
How rude of me! Did you want some stew?
In another bowl, perhaps.
Well, I wasn't going to give you mine. And he does ladle out some stew into a wooden bowl. And so what is it specifically that I can help you with?
Oh, well, I just need a bit of refreshers because I'm not the best at understanding like all the arcane runes that a lot of the magisters and arcanists of ancient Thassalon used back in the day. My Thessalonian is like a little bit shaky, but I'm better with like written words than anything like too arcane, because I'm no wizard or sorceress like Millie perhaps. So it takes a little bit of work for me to really understand all the concepts. And I remember there was that book that could help me cross-reference some things, if I'm remembering correctly. I just need help with the arcane part of it.
He kind of breaks off a piece of the bread, dips it into the stew in the sacrificial bowl, and kind of just he's walking around the table looking at the various books. It looks careless at first as he's eating this sopping bread, but you see that he's turned his body in a way that he holds the bread and the stew away from the books. And he says, yes, this is the one that will be the most useful for you. Perhaps when you've finished your stew, or set your stew aside. And he kind of pushes it towards you.
Perfect. And she kind of like, she'll push her stew to the side, and she'll like open it up and thumb through it. And she's like, this is exactly what I needed. Thank you. And she closes the book again and sets it like in her little like satchel that she has.
That is a very valuable reference work. I would
you'll get it back. You'll get it back.
I would prefer that you examine it here within my home.
Well, I imagine that would involve a lot of foot traffic for me, running back to, well, my study where my notes are, and then come back here for cross-reference, and then I make a little eureka, then I have to run back to my office, my study, and do a little note-taking, and go, oh, I can't remember what page that was on, and I have to come back here, and that would be a whole hassle.
Make a diplomacy check.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see how charming Lumi is. Will he give it to you?
I mean, it could be,
Oh no, can I use a domain dice, please?
Yes, do it.
That was
Fuck
a natural
whatever you rolled.
one.
Not only will he not give it to you today, he won't give it to you ever. Use the domain button.
Yeah, hold one moment here.
Do it.
Oh, it almost flipped
Convince
over to a 1 again. Thankfully, it's a 7 for a total of 17. Persuasion. What do you call it? Diplomacy. 17?
17 diplomacy. Let me check old Broderick Quink here.
I love his name.
Listen, I know that the book's valuable. You know that I'm good on bringing things back, but I can even do a little bit of a deposit situation if you wanted. And she like thumbs out the last 9 silver that she has in her coin purse.
Aww.
He looks at you and he says, as you're babbling on trying to convince him, you see that his gaze keeps going back to the dagger and the ranseur that he was studying before you interrupted him, and he just kind of waves you, no, your silver won't be necessary. You're lucky that I'm in a good mood today. I will expect it back in the same condition in which I have given it out to you.
Oh, and this fucker knows every page, dude. You better be careful.
I know every page. You better be careful.
Listen, not a single fly will be harmed on these pages, I promise.
Very well. He reaches onto a bookshelf and produces a small piece of parchment and an ink pot and a quill. I need you to sign your name here and date here.
And then she'll write Lumi, and like a little flower and like a little smiley face. And then she'll write, and then she'll chicken scratch out a today's Fire Day Serenith the First. And another smiley face.
And he takes the quill and he annotates, he writes the name of the book, the Intricate and Exquisite Histories of Thessalonian Runecraft, with annotations by Broderick Quink.
This son of a bitch. Amazing.
And then he...
The annotations are just like question marks in the margins. Yeah. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's literally just him writing in the
WUT,
margins.
There's down in the bottom corner, you just see one like, bruh.
Yes, Broderick Quink absolutely seems like the kind of person who would say, bruh.
Bruh. Well, if
Red
he's reading it and they're not
please
saying
simplify
it.
this language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you have this book that you can now use in your research.
Yeah, perfect.
Having this book will be the equivalent of talking to Broderick himself.
Sick. So this is probably all that she's going to really get up to much on this day. And then for the next like few days, over the weekend for sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5 days or so. She's going to spend cross-referencing. Okay, for the next 5 days or so, she's going to be spelunking down into the undead hole by herself, going into the fire chamber and doing like little gestures of prayers and servitude to Abraxas, the demon lord, to get past the fire traps.
To get past the fire traps, my ass.
And she's gonna sit her ass in the Hailstorm Flume fire room, and like just like have full like study, what do you call it? Research in that room as she's cross-referencing all these runes and trying to crack the code basically for the next 5 days. That's what I want to do.
So there's a couple things I want to have you do here. One,
if Brodert's tome gets scorched, dude, you are in such a pickle.
She's thinking like, well, if the tome is getting scorched, then probably I am too, and the tome will be the least of our problems if that's the case. So
fair.
She's also confident.
Make me lucky. I would like you to make me a religion, recall knowledge religion check.
Okay. That's going to be an 18 on the die for a total of 28.
So, as you head down in here by yourself, it is dark, except for the sparking luminescence from the Sahedron. And somehow, the runic scrawlings of prayers to Abraxas, they almost, in the flickering light, seem to be moving as you approach and prepare. And without, I don't want to say the distraction of your friends, but being here by yourself and in the silence of this place and being able to focus, you realize that, yeah, uttering profane prayers to Abraxas pacifies the fire trap for an hour. But you suspect that if you were to pray to a good deity, you might be able to overwhelm the trap completely and disable it.
Yeah, she makes note of that. And she remembers, oh yeah, I've got that ritual scrolls of consecrate that I could get my father to make. Well, I'm already down here, so might as well do what I need to do while I'm down here.
To be clear, it doesn't require consecration. It just requires prayer.
Perfect.
You got a 28. That wasn't a critical success, but it was enough for you to know that if you just spent the hour that you would gain from praying to Abraxas, if you were to spend an hour in prayer to a good deity, you would permanently disable the trap.
Okay. Yeah, she's gonna give that a shot. Absolutely. She's even gonna use some holy water to help out with this in case she thinks it needs it. Kind of like probably just splashing like one vial of holy water into like the corners and whatever. Trying her best to pray the gay away, so to speak, of this place.
About
Happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride.
Partway through this this prayer of sanctification, you notice that many of the runes appear to be vanishing from the walls. And as you persist at it, eventually all of the prayers to Abraxas inscribed in the walls eventually vanish. And you actually notice that a couple of the Sahedron that were flickering, their light changes from this reddish orange color to a brighter, almost whitish yellow. And they stabilize a bit. It's just a little bit warmer, a little bit brighter in here.
It doesn't. It worked. Well, I guess I don't need this anymore. As she like pulls an hourglass out of her satchel, so she's going to use the time to how often she needed to offer a prayer to Abraxas while she was down there.
That's awesome, dude.
But now feeling a bit more cozy. Yeah, she's going to kind of just like super investigate this the fiery Hellstorm Flume room in full, taking note of all of those arcane runes that were on the surfaces of the objects, cross-referencing it with Bernadette Quink's book and her own notes that she would have brought down. I imagine she has a whole library situation going on of this tall stack of books that she brought down, and she's basically just setting up a temporary study inside this chamber.
Go ahead, and we're going to cover this in a roll. Go ahead, and you're going to get, because of Broderick Quink's book, and that you have the freedom of time, because you're not under the gun of the hour. I would like you to make a research check using Arcana or Occultism, and you will get a +2 circumstance bonus to your check.
Cool. Is research a particular action?
It's essentially, I'm looking it up right now. It's a subsystem.
Yeah, me too.
It's a subsystem in the GM core. We've used it before, but it's been a while. There it is.
I'm just basically looking if my ability diverse lore will apply here. Because my diverse lore ability says I can use my esoteric lore at a -2 penalty for recall knowledge about any topic. Which is not, this is not a recall knowledge action, it is a research action.
Yeah, it is a research action.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
you said Arcana or Occultism.
Right now, let me just double check something here. You might have access to it's Arcana.
Unless esoteric lore literally applies. Let's see. Experience with the unknown. Special lore for haunts, curses, and creatures of any type. No, yeah, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, this is going to be Arcana or Occultism.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. She's going to go with Arcana, because she has the book that helps it out. So you said +2 modifier on top of my normal modifier?
Yep.
Cool. Can I use a domain die, please? That's another natural one.
Do it. Yes.
Put those dice away.
That's okay. How many domain dice can I use in a row?
Okay, before you go burning through domain dice, you get you're what'd you say, you're spending 5 days in study?
Yeah, she's gonna spend 5 days here basically.
So
she's gonna spend, I can't remember who has the recipe for the consecrate scroll.
I think it was given to you to give to Father.
Okay, in one of those days,
unless Moa still is holding on to it. I thought it was given to Lumi.
It was
okay.
In one of those days, I would have given Zaddy the recipe, the formula for this, and pleaded for him to make one if it's within his capabilities. But otherwise, yes, she's spending the full 5 days down here.
Yeah, he actually is quite surprised to see that formula, and is quite pleased, mentioning that having a consecrate spell will assist them in the upcoming ritual to spirit call Noalia.
Oh.
Well, then in that case, make 2.
And yeah, he's as far as I can tell, because it's a level 2, unless you know otherwise, Jay, while Lumi and I are handling this, as I understand it, the ritual would still follow the same as the as crafting a spell scroll, wouldn't it, with the same cost per level?
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever the level of that ritual would be to Yeah, so
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
It's only going to cost him a couple gold per scroll to consecrate. So he has the formula in his library now. I don't believe this is another question for you, Jay. Is the formula consumed in the crafting, or is it like you have the blueprint now? You can make as many of these as you want.
The formula is, so what it is the formula is there for prep. So it reduces the prep from 1 day to 1 day instead of 2. So, and it doesn't go away. So you always have that formula with you. So if you're crafting more, you can craft multiple.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
scrolls with
I
that.
wanted to make sure it didn't
Yeah.
dissolve as it was infusing.
Oh, no. No.
Excellent.
So-
Thank you.
It's the 1 day to prep with the formula. So and
Right.
then the
So
crafting
he's got time over the next few days anyway. So I'll say that he can make the one to bolster the ritual, and he'll make a spare one for you, Lumi, during that time.
Yeah, so 5 days in the hole.
So you have 5 days in the hole. You've burned 1 day. I'm trying to prevent you from just burning through domain dice. But you can. I would recommend, if you're going to spend them, spend maybe one per day, unless you get near the end and you still haven't accomplished what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, I just rolled a 2 on my reroll. I
Oh,
went from a 1 to a 2 to a 2, so I was like,
damn.
So that was your first day.
yeah.
So day 2.
She's just like in the corner. She's like making no heads or tails of this. Oh, this is tougher than I thought. She says, as it like spurs
Do you
her
by
on and, like,
chance
put a fire in her more.
recall how many research points you had from previous talking to Broderick Quink?
No.
Okay. I
70.
believe you guys had 2. So I will say
I had 2 research points from studying the undead, and I don't know if that.
yeah, each one is a different topic.
Yeah.
So that, yes, make a note when you're doing research of how many research points you have, because
Cool.
at different levels you will be capped at how many research points you can earn. For instance, you're level 4, you can only earn a maximum of 4 research points. As you progress and learn more information, you'll be able to study some of these things more and learn additional things as your ability to kind of like having more questions to ask, I guess. So you are at 2 research points right now, having not succeeded on day 1. Go ahead and roll for day 2.
Okay. It's gonna be a 5 on the die for a total of 13.
That's not a success.
Yeah. Okay. She's like,
You got so many more chances.
she's getting more and more frantic. I think it's just, which is why you haven't seen her at all this week. Like, she like wakes. Sometimes I think she even like sleeps overnight in that room. Sometimes she has like a little. She's like set up like a little like corner that she's like sleeping on, like paper and stuff like that. And she's waking up. She's so frazzled. She hasn't washed in these days. She's kind of becoming a little obsessed over this.
How very Jane Goodall of you.
Oh my god, dude. Get it.
So
This is the day.
day 3.
Third
I'm
day
gonna.
is the charm.
Okay, I'm spending a domain die on that one. I'm sorry. That's another very small single digit roll. Okay.
That's unfortunate.
This
There
music.
we go.
This music
Okay.
does not go along with what you're doing.
12 plus 8 is 20 total.
Yes.
Believe it or not,
That's a
the
failure.
mysteries
Okay.
of Thessalonia are still uncrackable to you. This Hellstorm focus is holding its secrets.
Oh my god.
You're digging deep by now. You're starting to see a little bit of a pattern in Broderick Quink's annotations. It's very, if you're at all familiar with the book House of Leaves, it's getting to where it's like at times you got to turn the book sideways or upside down. You're moving into day 4 with no luck deciphering these things.
There's things everywhere in this room. It's become like a full, frantic, obsessed study at this point. She's like, I gotta be missing something. I gotta be missing something. That's another natural one. I'm re-rolling with the domain die.
How many?
That
So
is-
you've used 2 more.
Yes. These dice are cursed tonight, I swear.
Bro.
Okay. 14 plus 8, 22
Yes.
this time around.
Yes.
22.
Are you?
Yes.
So you're still using your? You're adding your +2 circumstance bonus.
Yes.
On day 4, you've realized that some of the pages, if you take this thick tome and it's got that almost vellum-like paper, like a Bible would have, you realize if you fan some of the pages, you start to see that Broderick Quink's notes are meant to be read across multiple sections. You're getting closer, but you still haven't deciphered it on day 4.
Right. The last day, she wakes up.
You gotta give
She
Lumi a
doesn't-
bonus for
she
for
doesn't
what
know-
She discovered. Ugh.
She doesn't know what time of day it is when she wakes up. She's been in this room now, all by herself. The 5th day of
Oh,
of-
God.
of isolation, sensory deprivation. She's thinking, she's like, this gotta make sense. She's been seeing these runes in her dreams. She's rotating them in her mind, trying to understand
Come
the
on,
arcane
dude.
lore of how the Hellstorm Flume works, anything about it. She's trying to crack the code. She rolls and gets a natural 20. I kid you not.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. The gods
Holy shit.
don't lie.
Posting this in the chat. That's going to be a total. It's a total of 28 on a natural 20.
That's fucking awesome. That's perfect on the last
I
day,
love it.
dude.
It's on this last day as you are, you've sort of figured out a method to the madness of Broderick Quink's notes. And it's almost, I imagine it happens in a moment of frustration that you take some of your own notes and you just kind of throw some papers in the air, and one of your pages of notes happens to land alongside Broderick Quink's, and you realize if you tuck some of your own notes with these Thessalonian script in them, one here, you create bridges in Broderick Quink's notes. And you couldn't have gotten here if you hadn't have spent 5 days in here writing some of these notes. And all of a sudden, you just see, it doesn't actually illuminate, but it's very beautiful mind where these Thessalonian runes and notes sort of coalesce. And you see the bits and pieces that you were picking up and what Broderick Quink had written down. So that was a success. Which gains you an additional research point, which puts you at 3 research points.
Is
So
it
make-
a critical success because of the nat 20?
Oh, that would make it a crit. You gain 2 research points. You don't gain any additional information for that, but it does put you at 4 RP for future research on the topic of the Hellstorm focus.
Let me write this down. 4 RP on research for the Hellstorm Bloom. Perfect.
Hell yeah.
This is what you learn through a combination of yours and Broderick Quink's notes. And you suspect some of this might actually be news to Broderick Quink, because you filled in some of his blanks. For many years, the ruined tower known as the Old Light was thought to have been an ancient collapsed lighthouse. But now that more has been learned about ancient Thassalon, the Old Light has been revealed to have once been known as the Hellstorm Flume. A powerful weapon used by Rune Lord Alasnus to protect her nation's eastern border, with that of Rune Lord Karzog's nation of Shalast. Despite its name, the Hellstorm Flume had no direct association with Hell itself. It was so called for its ability to emit a flume of searing fire at extraordinary range to blast approaching armies with a devastating inferno. So the old light itself was the Hellstorm Flume. It was the weapon. At Starfall, the overload that happened in the Focus is what destroyed what is now known as the old light, or destroyed the Flume, and created the cave-ins, the scorching in the halls, all of these things. You also know that with the right knowledge that's far beyond what you have right now, it will require much more research and probably having to delve into more Thessalonian ruins.
Probably will it take, I don't know, coming back at a higher level, maybe?
It might even take uncovering a few dooms for you to realize there is a potential that the Hellstorm Flume could be reactivated.
Ooh.
You also know that if it were to be attempted right now, that it would most likely overload and probably wipe Sandpoint off the map.
Oh.
You realize that you have spent the last 5 days living and studying in essentially an unstable nuclear missile silo.
Jesus Christ! Get out!
She thinks to herself, she thinks to herself, I don't know what day it is. This has been a lot. I should go get a breath of fresh air. As she tries to reckon with just the gravity of the situation, the gravity of this discovery. And as she strides out, kind of a little bit dazed and confused, she pauses as she looks back and realizes that still Broderick Quink's book is in a heap somewhere, and she's like, "Well, probably should give that back to him." And you realize that Libby's just fully on talking to herself the whole time here, and she'll pick up the book and give this room one last goodbye for a little bit as she makes her way to the surface.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, in all of this, do you make the additional bridging annotations in Broderick Quink's book?
Oh.
No, she would have her own slips of paper that she wrote
Okay.
she wrote her own discoveries on.
I picture
write in a book.
I picture this whole week like the montage of Gandalf when he was off researching in the Great Library. The name of the city that popped into my mind is the wrong property entirely. Tir Asleen popped into my head, and that's Willow. Mine is Tirith, I believe is where he was, unless he was at a different place. And I've just shown my lack of deep Lord of the Rings lore. In the meantime, we will we'll skip time just a little bit.
He obviously went to King's Landing.
Obviously.
I want to know what Natalin has been up to when not training or other stuff. Was there any knowledge or
She was working in the bar. In the Rusty Dragon.
anything else? Just trying to keep your mind off of anything in specific, just working and waiting on the others kind of thing?
Yep. Working, training, sleeping, working, training.
I've had a couple new hires. She's had to walk them through the whole training protocol. It's how
Would
tips are
Natal-
distributed,
Would Natalin have brought Moa some, breakfast or treats while he's been crafting in his room?
More than likely. She'd done the same thing she always does, knock quietly, open it up, set it on the table beside you, leave without you noticing.
It's the classic set down a new plate full of food while taking the old
Take
tray.
the old plate. Yeah, the other one, most of the time it's still full as she's taking it away because Moa's in his zone.
Although there's one towards the end, there's one night or morning Moa may not have been there. He had a late night somewhere else.
Interesting.
Oh, get it, boy. Let's go.
Noted. She'll note that. Won't say anything, but noted.
Oh yeah, that was later in the week, after most of the stuff had been done. Yeah, he
This is one of those things. This is one of those things that in like first and second edition D&D there were actual roll tables for. We will not be rolling for those activities.
Fade to black.
It's the six base stats. Let's go.
I like to think that Moa is just trained in that activity and doesn't need to roll dice.
Shut up.
He's good. He's good.
What fun.
Diddle-loot, 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 diddle-loot. What about Velynia post meeting?
So after her meeting, I think Velynia is she's working at the docks, and whenever she's not working at the docks or sleeping, she's actually practicing her bow, because she has been trained in the bow, but it's been a long time, and she really, when the time comes to use this coppery tipped arrow, she wants to be ready. So she's been practicing. I imagine some days go better than others, as with most things, you're shaking the rust off. And but yeah, she very much is trying to keep her mind off of recent events.
I would like you to make a perception check.
Oh, we need dice for this game.
A little bit.
Okay, here we go. Perception. All right, it is.
May you roll better than I did.
23.
Okay, thank you. That's all you're going to get from that.
Thanks. Great. That was fun. How much money do I make in my couple of days?
Well, that's what I was trying to find.
Oh.
I'm trying to find the right. There's multiple earn income tabs, and I'm trying to find the one that has the table.
Yeah, Velynia, I think her people that she typically works with on the dock may notice that she's being exceptionally quiet, which is really saying something for her. Because she is very typically quiet, but she's like really more standoffish than usual. And yeah, she's pretty much
go ahead and make
her
me
routine.
You're working the docks, so you're doing pretty mindless labor, really. Loading and unloading ships, that kind of thing. Go ahead and make a athletics.
Yay! Ooh!
Yay! Ooh!
That's
You're
an 11.
You're gonna make a couple of these.
An 11 for my first one.
What is the name of the person you're working for again on the docks?
Fuck.
That is not it.
That's not her name.
Fuck McFuck.
Fucky fucker.
It is
I had it written down.
Jalevia.
Jalevia, yes.
Jalevia
Her.
Stenson.
And she's got a crush on the mayor.
I think
Happy Pride.
that first day, Velynia is a tall, muscular human woman, and at one point you're just sort of in this quiet mood, keeping away from everybody, and suddenly you're startled as her foot slams down next to you, and she reaches up and she grabs hold of the rope attached to the pulley attached to the load that you were transferring. She reaches up with one hand, kind of grabs it and holds it in place, and with her other, cuffs you hard up the back of the hand, back of the head.
Oh,
not hand. Sorry, I meant head.
Okay.
Like gives you just one of those kind of cuff on the back of the head, and says, "Get your head in the game." She points downward where your foot is inside the coil of the rope that you were about to let loose with this heavy payload.
Okay.
I do not want to be picking you out of the block and tackle.
I'm sorry.
Focus. It's how you and others get hurt.
I'm sorry.
No nonsense. No excuses. Pay attention.
Typically Velynia would be giving some kind of excuse or spitting back a little bit. She's not. So, sorry.
I would like a... I'm going to have you make three more of these checks. Just
Great.
In a row. While you're doing that, Natalin, I would like you to make me a... First, I want you to make me a will save.
$15 on the will save.
Okay, let's fail. Natalin, your nights are plagued with dreams and nightmares. You are, in some nights, you are reliving the vision of Gosray that Gosray gave you under the sea. But in these nightmares, the sea is more violent, unruly. And you feel before where you felt a sense of belonging in the sea. You don't feel like you're being rejected by the sea, but you feel like your attunement to the sea in this dream, in this nightmare, is off. You feel yourself being buffeted by the waves and the turmoil of the churning waters and bubbles beneath. And over the next several days, I think you find yourself often waking up suddenly, gasping for breath, where before you've, in any dreams or visions of Gosray, you've felt like you didn't need to breathe underwater. So you can choose if you want to elaborate on these dreams and nightmares, or if you want to just internalize them, keep them to yourself, and ponder them. That is your choice.
I think I'll ponder them for now. But I believe you're going to see is, well, maybe Moa would notice this, but as the week is going by, and probably Bethana too, because like I really rolled really bad on the last 3 days of my service, and this is probably partly why I'm haggard, my mind is scattered. I think, Mo, when you came to watch Natalin at one point, it was a longer session than normal because she's trying very hard to ground herself and it's not working. So I think you have seen over this week Natalin's maybe like cheeriness has been decreasing. I don't know how much you would have noticed because you're crafting, but by the end of the week, Natalin is kind of like maybe a hollow shell of herself as she was before we came back out of the undead hole.
Velynia, what's your skill level in athletics while Moa prepares
Athletics, it's a 9.
I mean, are you trained, expert?
Oh, sorry, trained.
Trained.
My bad. Trained.
Okay. Go ahead, Moa.
No. I was just gonna. I don't think Moa, based off of what I rolled perception myself, you wouldn't have noticed too much. I think towards like he was only crafting during the day, so his evenings are relatively free for the most part. So you would have seen he would have maybe picked something up, like watching you work at the Rusty Dragon. He would have definitely had small interactions with Natalin about thanking her for the food and keeping him going and stuff like that. And that might have been, he might have picked something up slightly. At which point,
yeah, I think those should be probably maybe a little bit more brusque than normal. Like, not that she's trying to like be blunt or she's being mean or anything. She's just very curt, very just saying the thing and leaving. You can see her mind's not there. She's probably actually a little bit more clumsy than you're ever used to seeing, because she's not normally clumsy, but she spilled a couple of drinks. She's, like she's having problems.
Yeah, I think so. I would say like one of the last days in the evening at dinner time, when if you're serving, he would have sit in your section, so to speak, because and when you take his order, he'd be like, with a drink already in his hand, taking, what, Natalin, what time you don't think too much into this.
What time you have to work?
What time are you getting off tonight?
It depends. When are you? Oh my God.
And you know what? I think maybe this is probably the biggest indication for Moa is that normally this would have caused Natalin to maybe blush or turn or do something.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't faze her at all. It's like she didn't even understand what you said. And she just kind of says 3 hours.
Ooh. All right. Actually, then Moa would be assertive. And it was like, all right, when you're done with your shift, plop your butt down here. Let's have a drink.
And I think there's the barest nod as she turns to go to put your order in or whatever, right? Like whatever you said you wanted. She probably brings you back the wrong thing.
Yep. And he's not going to send it back. He's going to eat it. Because clearly he's recognizing there's something. So,
yeah. So I think, the hours would pass and eventually she would collapse at your table, just exhausted. And I think doesn't even say hello, but just like immediately like arms crossed on the table, head hits her arms.
Oh.
Long night.
Mm-hmm.
So I can be blunt when I want to talk. You okay?
There's a breath or two of silence, and then she looks up. You can see the mask is almost kind of back, the composure. I'm fine. She doesn't say
that's
fine.
Bullshit, but that's okay. What's going on?
If you look at her, she has got dark circles under her eyes. Mm-hmm. She has not been sleeping. And I think I'm sorry, what did you ask her?
It was the it was.
I mean, that is
like, how are you doing or something?
I mean, that's 100% tracks with what Natalin's going through right now. Like,
it's a little thing called the method, and Karen's good at it, so shut up.
So Moa just turns around and goes, I said, when you said you were fine, I said, bullshit. What's wrong? You not sleeping? Something on your mind? Somebody being bothersome?
Oh, does Moa flex a little bit when he says that?
No, he's just no. He's in this half caring, kind of caring situation.
Incredible. Love it.
He's being like the big brother-ish.
Sometimes,
More or less, yeah.
sometimes Moa comes across like if Gaston were like a good guy and not a dick. You know what I mean?
No.
I mean that as a compliment.
Kind of, because I mean, in a way, he's just he's low key, and he's just kind of straight arrow shooter and just blunt, but he likes what he likes, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not sleeping. I haven't had a good night's sleep in.
Since the painting?
She can't even remember when the last time she had a good sleep was. And she's just like, I don't even know.
Do you need some special alchemy remedies, or do you just need to get drunk?
No offense, but I don't think that is the proper thing to do.
Okay, I'm just throwing ideas out.
She looks at you and knowing that's how you cope sometimes. Just like, no, not for me.
No, that's no offense taken. Everyone's got their vices. I just enjoy, and he holds up his mug. I enjoy a few good spirits. Takes a drink. Is there anything I can do, or is there anything you want me to do that might assist you in feeling better? Within reason.
Do you want to be restless together? What?
No! This is Big Brother! This is Big Brother time.
Sorry. I'm like Gaston, his normal self, apparently.
Amazing, dude. Amazing.
I mean,
I don't know. I think she just maybe at this point, like there's like the fire is still burning, and maybe we've got like the table close to the fire, and she just kind of curls in on the chair that she's sitting on a little bit, and just kind of, I don't know, maybe leans against the wall or whatever that's there, and just kind of like, just, and she looks very sheepish when she says this. She's like, "You read me a story."
a story?
Hmm.
Do you want Once Upon a Time, or do you want some romance novel? Is there a level that you're looking for, or, you know?
I think she's gonna take that as a yes, and I think you see her kind of get up, probably the most energy she's had for days. She disappears for a bit, basically goes to her room. She comes back with this Xian tome that you know that was hers from Tamiko before she left, and so it's a, I'm not gonna say it's like a child book, but it is a, like, you know, heroes and myths and legends of the Xian world. And you can see that it's been well read. And she just kind of like sheepishly like hands it to you.
Moa picks it up and kind of looks at it for a second. And is this kind of a common, like, not children's storybook, but storybook of multiple stories, relatively common?
It would be common in Xian, but not here for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that being said, he looks at it and goes, kind of flips a page or two and goes, oh, well, shit. My mom read some of these stories to me. Which is your favorite? You know my mom was from T and She, right?
I don't think we ever got that far in our... No. So she'd like, no.
Yeah, she was a princess at one time, but she left. My dad convinced her. He was an adventurer. Anyways. And he picks a story out. And he reads it in Minkai.
Oh my god.
So
This is awesome.
Natalin can't understand it, but you can see that it kind of calms her down. And she's curled back on that chair again, and her head's on the wall, and she's just listening. And you can see her eyes close. And as the story goes on, she falls asleep.
And I would like to make a performance check, because at one point Moa's gonna like emphasize something, and I kind of want to see how bad he does this.
Sure.
But I rolled a 15, so yeah, he actually does it pretty good.
So,
and he throws in some T and she words in there.
Wonderful.
I imagine this story as you begin speaking. We see that the camera would sort of kind of move to the wall where we see the flickering of the firelight, and just a section of the wall where suddenly it becomes like shadow puppets, those kind that are like two-dimensional with like the hinged limbs. And the story that's being told, we see figures appearing, and we see maybe a shadow of a boat, and we see a shadow of a dragon, and just all these elements of like a classic tale.
And
But
like the Moa telling the story sort of like fades, and there's like SFX, and like
yeah, it
there's,
becomes
like,
very
so
much
sweet.
in that style, and we don't need to understand the words as we see this story of adventure and danger and heroes triumphing. And as the puppets fade away and the camera pans down, we see Natalin curled up, sleeping peacefully for the first time in days.
And Moa would have gone over somewhere, grabbed a blanket from one of the other, put it on her, and then sat back down on the opposite side, continued to drink, and then scribble on some papers some formulas that he's trying to create, and just scribbling notes on just some stuff that he's kind of creating. And he just waits there until she wakes up or the next morning.
Yeah, I think we sort of, as we see you placing the blanket over her and sitting back down, drinking and going back to work, we see that scene as the camera slowly pulls back out of the window of the Rusty Dragon, the room where you're staying, and just kind of goes up into the night air. Velynia, over your few days of working, you had your wake-up call. You do much better paying attention. You're still able to zone out, but not dangerously so.
Yeah.
And I already let you know in the chat, you earned 4.5 gold during the week. Basically just doing grunt work. Everybody gives you your space. I would like you to make one more perception check.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ugh. 13.
Okay. Pretty uneventful otherwise. I would
How's my
like...
bow training going specifically? Am I relearning well enough?
I don't know that there's any kind of downtime activity specifically for...
No, I wasn't asking mechanically. I was just
Training.
saying, God, Tails, how is it going?
I don't know. Make me a couple of bow attacks.
Oh, good. Okay. Oh, shit. Well, that was a 28.
Okay.
That was a dirty 20.
Like riding a
That was
bike.
another dirty 20.
I guess in this world they don't say it's like riding a bike. They probably say it's like shooting a bow. I mean, really, when you think about it, these aren't compound bows. These are recurve bows. These are specialized bows that require a lot of strength and skill to operate. And I imagine there's an element of muscle memory. But you specifically, who's trained in specific types of fighting, if it's not putting you on the spot, I think this is a good place to have a little bit of a Velynia flashback to when she was being trained in the bow.
Ooh, okay. Are we just going like totally free form on this?
Yeah, I guess I'm putting us both on the spot
okay,
here.
Yeah, sure. No. I can fucking hell. I teach freshmen for a living.
I think so. Let me set the scene. Is you are raising the bow, and you're knocking an arrow. We see the camera start to move around you, and where you've got you're drawing back, and we move in really close, and then we kind of pan around your head, and we see a young Velynia, maybe 13, 14. And immediately the first thing we see is an instructor standing there with one hand behind his back, and he's got an arrow, a big heavy shafted arrow, and he's immediately pressing up on your one arm, pressing down on this, presses it into your back, and he's giving you orders. All the while you've got this bow drawn under tension, but he's making corrections as he walks around you.
Right. And if anybody who's ever fired a bow knows that, as Jake just mentioned, under tension, it's hard to maintain that. It takes a good amount of strength. And I think Velynia is having a hard time. Like he taps on her elbow to have her bring her elbow up. He pokes her in the back to get her to stand up straight. And then I think by the time he makes a lap, her arm is starting to shake with this tension. And I think that she releases the arrow and it does not hit center. It's fairly close, but it just does not hit center. And
I don't know. Roll a d20. We'll see how close it was.
Sure. Let's see. Oh, actually, maybe I do hit center. That's 21.
Okay. Well, I just want to know the d20 result.
Oh, just the d.
You don't get your adult stats.
I don't get my adult
as a
stats.
kid.
Why? I'm sorry. I haven't done my ass. Yes, 11. I apologize. I'm a
you hit the target, but it's on the edge.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine Velynia gets a rap for that and is just standing there, and she knows that if he had just let her shoot, it would have been fine. But because he made her stand there for so long, she's, at least in her head, maybe this is the truth and maybe it's not, but at least in her head, that's why she missed. And so all of his beratement that follows is kind of met with her best attempt at avoiding it, but eye rolling and kind of just silence and avoiding eye contact.
I think you catch at the eye roll. You catch the shaft of the arrow across the back of your hand, the one that you draw the string with, and this instructor, Real Tel Sabar. I'll let you figure out what the Tel Sabar means, since that's your naming convention.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at you, and then he says, And this man is an elven man.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at you. And he says, I want you to knock another arrow. Remember the corrections I just gave you. Now, knock it.
And I think Velynia like has it.
Draw it back.
Very quick.
And he's standing directly in front of you. Hold it. And he begins to take steps backwards. Now there will be times when you need to be as ready as possible to take down a target. Whether it be a heart in the jungle or the heart of your enemy. Being ready means holding for that perfect shot, holding your breath, holding your stance, holding your draw. This entire time he's stepping backwards. He takes one slight step, ever so subtly, to the left, completely obscuring the part of the target, half of the target, barely the bullseye is visible. The part of the target he's blocking is the part that you hit.
Okay.
Release now.
I do.
Right. Roll your d20.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. That's another 11.
Right. I'm going to, just because this is a game, well, actually, I've got on-screen dice I can use.
We catch the arrow.
That's what I was going to say.
That's what I want him to do, but I'm going to be fair here.
Oh God!
I'm going to have him make
This is not going to go over.
A reflex roll.
I'm going to get whooped.
It's plus 13 reflex.
Right.
And this is why Velynia has never taken up the bow again.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah, literally.
He rolled an 11 too.
Oh my God!
But he does have a plus 12 to his reflex.
He's a fucking grown-ass man. I'm a child.
As you fire the arrow, you know as soon as the arrow leaves that it is heading the same place you shot the last arrow, and it is heading directly for him. You don't even see him move. He shifts, he pivots on his foot, and he looks like he's going to make a grab for the arrow. But he kind of pivots and just kind of goes like this, and the arrow just... The actual flight of the arrow, you see it brush against his chest as it thumps into the side of the target. He yanks the arrow out of the target.
And I imagine Velynia like drops her bow and like falls to her knees and like just like has her head down and is just apologizing profusely.
As he reaches you with the tip of the arrow, he places it under your chin. And he's pressing enough pressure that you know he wants you to stand.
And I do. And I think Velynia's still shaking.
Pick up your bow.
I do.
Knock an arrow and draw it.
I do.
He looks up over this section where you're training. You can see that the sun is getting low. And there's some trees. It's still a good, maybe hour before sunset. But the sun is maybe 10 minutes from dropping below the tree line. Mm-hmm. You may release your arrow when the sun is behind those trees. Mm. And then he walks away. Yeah. And I think this was how much of your training went. Mm-hmm. With Real Tel Sabar instructing you in this way. And often when you failed, you were, and I think this was probably a common practice in your discipline, that you were left on your honor. to fulfill your discipline. He doesn't stand there and watch you to see if you actually do stay. He just gives you an instruction and expects you to follow it. So it's up to you if at this age, if you hold the arrow for that long, or do you want to roll for it?
I don't think I am going to roll for it. I think Velynia is ultimately too scared to defy any of these people. And so she would. Like, this organization is very much about finding things out, and she has this vibe that, like, they know everything, and if she doesn't do this, they'll find out. And she doesn't dare. So she stays there.
As you stand there for the full 10 minutes, trembling, shaking, sweating, does Velynia cry? Or does she hold it in?
I think she manages to hold it in for a while, and then she's long since lost feeling in her arms.
Those last couple minutes that feel like almost as long as the full 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost involuntary, the tears stinging your eyes. And we hear, as the sun dips below the horizon, or below the trees, we hear the twang as you release. We hear the thunk of the arrow hitting the bullseye. Or sorry, the target, not the bullseye. We don't know actually where the arrow hits. We just hear it hit.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
As maybe this flashback ends and we come back to the present moment, you do hear that thunk. And we're back to grown Velynia.
The camera the camera rotates back around, and I think we do see that arrow dead center in that target.
Mm-hmm.
This time,
amazing.
We see and maybe understand a little bit better the definition in Velynia's arms and the stillness with which she held back that arrow. We're gonna
amazing, thank you.
Swing back around to, by all means, all of you feel free when we're at any time when we're dipping into something that feels like it could be relevant to your backstory. If you want a flashback, just call out a flashback and we'll improv a flashback.
Love it.
I want everybody to have those opportunities. Sometimes I will plan for them, but when we're kind of riffing like this, I want you guys to feel just as free to call out a flashback. I would like to come around. Well, let me ask this. I'm gonna swing back to Lumi, and we're gonna catch up with Lumi just a little bit more from where we didn't see what she was up to before, and more likely than not end there. Before we do that, does anybody have anything else they want to do?
Not I.
Okay, Lumi.
Lumi has emerged from the undead hole. She's taking in the fresh air. She sees the gulls flying overhead. She thinks on the danger that the Hellstorm Flume is. She thinks on the place that the Hellstorm Flume threatens. She thinks of Sandpoint. She thinks of the many merchants, the travelers, the locals, her father, her companions. And she'll have a bit of a anxious sleep tonight. But in doing so, as she gets ready for the next day, she comes to a decision. An idea sparks her mind. The next day, she's a bit more full of energy. She finally slept in a soft bed. She got to have a proper bath and whatnot. She was able to wipe away the ink that was probably littering her face just as much as her fingers at this point, from licking a quill tip to keep it going. She freshens herself up and she visits town on this 6th day of her her adventures, or her downtime, I should say. And she checks out various stalls, looking mostly for food. She grabs some fruits from this vendor and says, "Oh, what a lovely day it is," as we kind of do a little bit of a similar scene as our first scene with Lumi, as she's like strolling through the streets. Though this time there's less of a skip in her step, to be fair. She buys a few things she needs, some fruits. She goes to the tailor and asks around and buys a purple ribbon that she buys. And she visits the White Deer, if I remember the name of it correctly, where Millie's working and would provide some like buns or something along those lines. And she'd go down to the Rusty Dragon where the spinach puffs are, and she'll have gathered like a whole host of snacks, and she'll even hit up the I imagine there's like probably like a stall or even a brewery that would have like wine. Oh, probably this was one of the taverns. She'd buy a nice bottle of something something warm, something like not too heavy but definitely not too light, of some kind of like, I want to say mead, but she'll get a mead because she's a bit of a sucker for the sweet things.
Gotta love a mead.
And she will stroll herself back to her room, her study, and she'll scrawl a little note upon a little piece of parchment, roll it, tie it in that purple ribbon. And she's going to go head down to the docks. This is during the middle of the day. She knows that Velynia is out working. She's going to go to the bunkhouse where Velynia stays each night. And as she enters, she's like, this is like the second or third time she's ever been here. She's a little bit sheepish about entering. And the person who runs it, I cannot remember their name.
Jolin.
Jolin. She will approach Jolin, who I hope is in this building.
She runs it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find real quick. It's Vashti's place.
They're a witchy person.
There we go. Yeah, this is Jolin Verneath. They are very kind of witchy. Kind of like now that you see them post road trip, you realize that some of their characteristics, they look like they could be related, or at least from the same coven as a certain Lala. Though
sibling
Jolin seems
Lala's cousin.
Jolin seems
like,
much more stable.
Lala is like the hippy dippy sister that like went off to Berkeley. And I love it. That's awesome.
And so Lumi will approach Jolin and be like, "Oh, hi. I was wondering, I have this. I want to leave it for one of your tenants here. Her name's Velynia. Can I just put it under her door, or should I give it to you?" And she holds up the little like scroll with it's tied in a purple ribbon.
I've seen you around.
Yeah, it's me, Lumi.
Are you trustworthy, Lumi?
I hope so. I like to think I am.
You don't know. You can only wonder at your trustworthiness.
There's a lot of things I think about, and that's not one of them. It kind of caught me a little. She like nervously, brushes at like one of the scales on her head. Yes, I'm trustworthy. she says, and tries to smile this nervousness off a little bit. She's caught off guard by this.
They take their long spindly fingers and start to make almost like they're going to grasp at the note that you have, and instead they go, "Come with me."
Okay.
And they begin to move through the place. Every once in a while you see as Jolin reaches over to a very fastidiously organized bookshelf and makes a slight adjustment to a knick-knack or a book or something on the shelf. Walks past a picture hanging on a wall and lightly traces a finger along, and then makes sure the portrait is square. Then leads you to where Velynia, remind me, were you in a solo room or were you in a sort of a
there are no rooms here.
Yeah, it was
tenants.
you had
It's
like a
big
locker,
common
that's
room.
what it was.
I have like
locker.
a little bed in the corner and I have a locker.
So they would lead you into this room, this part of the room, and indicate the locker. I cannot allow you to open it, but your note should fit through this vent.
And is it like on top of the locker, or is it like near the bottom?
It's on top! It's on top! This locker is 5 feet tall.
They look at you for a moment, and they look at the locker. And there's no malice in their tone. They just say, "Forgive me. I was curious to test your problem-solving skills, but that is not my place. Would you like my assistance?"
Yeah, if you could put it in there, that'd be great. Or like on top or underneath her pillow. Whatever. I just want to make sure that she sees it. I don't want it to be something that she finds, I don't know, a few days late and such. But, and you know what? Maybe locker's a good idea. It's fine, she says as she like backs down from this idea.
I will ensure that she knows that there is a missive waiting
okay.
for her.
That works great. Thank you.
She reaches out and just with finger and thumb plucks it from your hand and holding it out, not in any form of like out of disgust or anything, but more like, I want you to see that I am taking your letter and putting it into this slot. Have you any other business here?
No, this was it. Thank you.
You are welcome. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You're welcome, GTFO.
She'll leave, I guess.
You have concluded your task. It is time to go.
You are the weakest link.
And they will walk, basically following you all the way to the exit.
Whoa. I'm glad to know Jolin is so protective over this place. This is great.
And that is the end of Lumi's duties, other than grabbing the consecrate ritual scroll from Father Xanthus. And she does her little prayers to 5 of the 7 gods or whatever that are in this church.
When giving you the ritual of consecration scroll, and you see that he has one for himself, and he's placed it in a he's placed the scroll that he gives to you inside a small leather scroll case that's embroidered with markings of Desna. He hands that to you, and he says, "Lumi, my dear, you and your friends, the time is coming where you must decide. Odrani and I have finished most of our preparations for the spirit call. You could we could hold the ritual as early as this moon day, or we could wait till the following moon day when the moon is full.
Well, I don't want to speak for the rest of the group, but I would want us to have the ritual be most successful. So maybe we wait till the fullest moon of the month, which is, well, by my count, 8 days from now.
Confer with your friends.
Okay.
Adrani has assured me that while the full moon would, of course, give us the greatest level of success with the ritual, any time after the moon begins waxing towards full will be sufficient. And with the help of this formula you recovered, it will bolster all the more.
Oh, will it? Oh, that's great. I was wondering if that would be useful for this at all. And, well, I'm glad that it has a use case.
We will consecrate where the standing stones are.
I'll ask the others, but I haven't been able to find Millie lately. I don't know if she's a little bit under the weather, but I'll be sure to ask her next episode.
Yes, I believe Millie is convalescing at home. Oh, not all of us are blessed with your young spirit and young bones.
Listen, I know someone that was convalescing for over a month and a half, and really just missed their friends.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, confer with your friends, and we will be ready, as I said.
That sounds great.
Well,
thanks, Dad.
Calibrate your enthusiasm, child. This is a very serious ritual. We will be summoning Nualia.
It might be a little bit off color for me to say, but I'm actually really curious to watch this.
Watch it, child.
Well,
you and your friends will be participating.
We will?
Well, we'll need you to make sure that no one interrupts us. Well, Johnny will be the primary caster in the ritual, and I will be her second. But when we begin the ritual, we will be in a trance, and we will need you and your friends to bolster the ritual and make sure that we are not interrupted. You are very much a part of this.
Oh, that's exciting.
Well, check in with your friends. Find out which day they would prefer we perform the ritual. And, well, prepare yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go. There's some things that I wanted to do. You know what? Yeah, I'll go let everyone know.
Okay. Final last call, if anybody has anything they want to do here in town.
Cari, you should read the note.
I'm reading the note. I am going home to sleep, and then I find the note.
Yeah, I would say that as you arrive back at Mvashti's place, as you enter, Jolin just says, "A shiny little kobold was here earlier to see you. She left a letter. Under her watchful gaze, I placed it in your locker."
Oh, I trust you implicitly, Jolin. Thank you. And I think I would put like an extra silver on the counter for her or for them, just as a thank you for being discreet as always. and I would go to open my locker.
You know those boxes, those little mechanical boxes that you place a coin on and like a cat's
Like
paw
that little
pops
cat
out?
that takes it. Yeah.
As soon as you turn your back, Jolin's hand just goes, just pops up.
That's awesome, dude.
Takes the
if
coin.
she's not canonically related to Lala at the end of this, I am going to be so pissed. She needs to be. That is her exact vibe.
Listen, I may or may not be building in a method by which to bring Lala back. There are a couple of those NPCs I know we want to see again.
Absolutely.
Some more than others.
A lot of strong, muscular women in this game. I go into my locker and I find the note, I assume. And
You
I
do.
take the little purple ribbon off. Oh my, that's sweet. And I keep the ribbon. And then I open the letter. What does it say?
Hey, Velynia. Hope you've been keeping busy this week. I know I have. So, I was wondering, are you free tomorrow evening? Just before sundown? I thought it might be nice to have a picnic, you know? A little break from everything. Fresh air, good snacks, good company. Smiley emoji.
Emoji?
If you're up for it, meet me tomorrow by the South Gate at 7 p.m. Only if you're interested. I've got all the snacks and drinks covered. Unless there's something special you'd like to bring. Looking forward to seeing you, Lumi.
There's so many emojis in there that Vi didn't say. Okay. So, yeah, I would totally want to. Okay, Jake, I do need to know before I chill with Lumi. Is this after my meeting, or was this before my meeting?
This is after.
We've been doing a lot of timelines. I figured. Okay.
This is after in her conversation with well, is it after? You mentioned in 2 days.
I guess Lumi did go see her dad, and Dad said that we're doing this in just
I'm
a day.
fine with it being before or after, but like, I think for continuity's sake, better for after.
Yeah, I'm
after.
thinking
My
it's the
vote's
day
after
after. I think
as
it's
well. Okay.
I think it's Sunday the
fine.
10th,
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Perfect.
which
And,
conveniently
yeah,
is marked as episode 19 already on the calendar.
I think that's wow, how convenient. Velynia, I think, would in lieu of bringing any food, I think Velynia would bring like a blanket. And it's just a kind of a rough sort of like blanket, but something to sit on. The South Gate, I imagine there's like free space, and we don't just want to be sitting on the frickin' ground. So all the stuff is taken care of, and she doesn't want to show up empty-handed. So she takes that and she goes.
So my question for Vi is, do we want to end with Velynia showing up the South Gate with a blanket and save whatever's coming for next session? Or do we want to end with what you have in mind?
I'm good with either. But I think for anticipation's sake, perhaps we leave this for
This
for
is
next
kind of
week.
what I'm thinking, is we see Velynia
Mhm.
approaching the South Gate. I think first we see Velynia taking the blanket and walking towards the South Gate. And then we see Lumi waiting with eager anticipation, not knowing if Velynia is going to show. And then you see Velynia.
Notably, Lumi is waiting by the South Gate. She's mostly empty-handed. Just waiting, sitting on a little rock by the South Gate.
And then you see Velynia rounding the corner, carrying a blanket. And that's where we'll end.
That's great. That's actually perfect. Wow. Oh, boy.
All right, considering
The
we
little
started...
tail flicks a little bit in
Oh,
excitement
boy.
upon seeing Velynia
Oh.
striding forward.
That's exciting. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. I like the waiting. This is smart.
That's
This is
weird.
a good way to play it.
I accidentally activated Siri on my watch partway through that, and it was trying to figure out what I was talking about. Considering that we started this session with me saying I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen because we still got a few vague things to cover, I think we got some really interesting looks at some of your characters, and We got some a little glimpses of backstory, some nightmares, a touching bedtime story from Moa to
That
Natalin.
was the sweetest shit I have ever seen in my life.
That
That
was
was adorable.
amazing.
I love it.
And we got a glimpse of Velynia's backstory.
That was
So-
super fun and unexpected. I love it.
So with that, next session is going to be our 20th session. It is going to be just for anticipation's sake. We're probably going to open with whatever this forthcoming scene is, and regardless of whatever you decide on the date, so discuss that off stream amongst yourselves if you want to do it in the day following this picnic or whatever, or if you want to do it in a week. I would expect that we will be performing the ritual next week as well,
Awesome.
which, depending on how that goes, may very well herald in the end of chapter 1, Bones and Ashes.
So you won't have to worry about that title anymore.
Nope.
What's
Just
chapter 2 called?
We'll have to wait because there's going to be a Doom that will likely name it, I bet.
I can tell you if you really want to know. It's not that spoilery or anything.
Sticks and
I wanna
punch.
know.
Chapter 2 will be called Strange Times in Sandpoint.
Okay, that sounds fun. Alrighty.
That sounds
Alright.
a little ominous, not gonna lie.
With that, thank you as always to everybody for hanging out. Love seeing everybody in the chat. I don't know what you guys talk about. You could be talking about me the whole time for all I know. I don't pay attention to the chat that much. I know my players talk about me in the side chat all the time, and I ignore them.
All the time.
No, it's hard to keep an eye on chat when you're actively running the game and trying to balance all of these while still trying to learn some of these multiple aspects of the system. But I do appreciate seeing everybody there. And if you are somebody that likes to lurk silently, or perhaps you're watching later on the VOD, know that we appreciate you and hope you enjoy these games and streams as well. But I want to say, as always, I know I say it every time, but I mean it every time, that it's so awesome to get to play with each and every one of you. It's every time you assemble a group of players, even if you're playing with you look at this group of players that this is the first time Jay has played with this grouping of players. It's the first time that Jay's gotten to really play in a game of mine, a campaign of mine. He's played in the Aether Nexus games, gotten a little bit of it, but the rest of you, we all play together in different combinations, in different games, and we've known each other for a very long time, so we've played a lot of games together. But it's just amazing to me that you can assemble some of the same people in a different configuration, and you just get a whole new dynamic. And to play for so long with so many people and continue to see such unique and interesting characters, and the combinations of, you essentially create these characters in isolation, and then we bring them together and we see how things mesh, and all while trying to learn the system. For me, mostly, I think I'm the newest to the system, but also a system that's undergone some changes and things like that. So I truly mean it when I say that I love that I get to play this game with you each week. And that I'm lucky enough to call all of you my friends. So thank you so much once again. As always, Vi, Kaeryn, Cari, Jay, and though she was not with us tonight, she was with us in spirit, Tamiko, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want. MTD.